Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to try to learn arrays of objects. We have learned arrays in an earlier video where we created an array of primitive types. We can also create an array of objects. We're just going to see how to create that now. We're going to create an array of employees, right? So let's create a new class and we will name it employees test, just to show the difference between employee test that we already have and create our main method. And to create an array of objects, it's pretty much the same syntax as the array of primitives. So you would type employee square bracket to say that we are creating an array, employees equals, we will have our new keyword employee, right? And within square brackets, we need to say how many employees, right? So 5 employees. So that's basically it. We're creating an employees array, right? And we're creating of length 5, right? So you could just say system.out.println employees. So same things that were accessible earlier, like length, are accessible here as well. So just quickly save it, and then let's try to run it. Run as Java application. There you go, 5, right? Now we want to create these employees now. If we cannot say employees of 0, I hope you remember that arrays start at the 0th index, right? So 0 dot get name. Let's try to print this and see what happens, right? This out. If you type this out and control space, you will get system.out.println. So we're going to copy this guy and then try to print it. So we're trying to print the name of the first employee. Let's try to run it. We get a null pointer exception. We talked about exceptions where it's a bad thing, something bad happened. So here we get a null pointer exception because although we created five um, 5 length of employees array, we have not told Java what those employees are. We have not even created the employees objects. We just created an array of 5 length. Now to initialize these, you have to say employees of 0 equals new employee of, for the constructor, you need to pass the values, right? Now, without doing that, if you run it again, you just get null because at least you don't get the exception, but you get null because now you have created the object, right? You're not trying to invoke the get name method on a null object, right? Earlier it was null, so when you try to invoke get name, you got an exception. Now employees of 0 is a valid object, and we're calling the get name on a valid object, but the name itself is not defined. So you just get a null. So this is not an exception, it's just a null value or no value has been assigned to name yet. Now we can pass values, so we can say John, and then the second one is title, analyst, and then the third one is the salary, 10,000. Save it. Now if you run it, you get John, right? So first we just had the array declared, and then we had the first element or first index of the array, right? Now defined to an actual object with values, and we're trying to get name. It works. You can just call employees of 0, which would automatically call the toString. So if you run it again, you get the toString, right? Similarly, you can define employees 1, employees 2, employees 3, and the employees 4, right? So there are only 5 positions from 0 to 4. You cannot, for example, you cannot say employees of 6 and try to run it. You'll get an array index out of bounds exception, which we saw earlier, because there is no 6th position, right? But up until 4, you can define, so you can just say employees of 1. This is something you can also do in a loop, but I'm just trying to show how to define these employees one by one. So you can just say employee. Now this time it could be Mary, who is a developer, 40,000. right? And then you can just say system dot out dot println, or I could have typed sys out and control space employees 1. Now let's try to run it. We have John displayed and Mary displayed. So that's basically arrays of objects. You will first declare the array, and then you will initialize every single object in the array to an actual object, and then you can call any method that you want to call in that object, just like if you would call it if it's just a single variable instead of an array. So that's basically arrays of objects. Again, try to create a loop, try to assign different values to them, and try to print them. That's basically arrays of objects and how it works. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.